with the direction that my project is moving. Because again, if you don't know the Ssussdriad project, and I've got it in text in the video description there, it's my world peace project. Ssussdriad is my world peace project that I've been dreaming up for, a little over a decade now. And the gist of it is a bookstore, microbrewery, restaurant, concert hall, hopefully coming soon to downtown Hanford. And from the bookstore, we will explore solutions in the areas of downtown revitalization, regenerative agriculture, and arts and alternative education. So in the downtown revitalization area, I already have an active project, which is the Art Hop, which is tonight. It is the second Tuesday every month. And tonight's hop, we only have 5 locations, which means that there's a lot more time to rest in the wonderful, glorious air conditioning in our various participating shops. So there's 5 locations. There's art and music all over downtown. It's going to be a good time. So 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. So that's the active project in the downtown revitalization area. In arts and alternative education, the art hop that we had in April was a youth hop, and we were featuring Create California, which is a statewide arts integrated education nonprofit. They span the state. They're made up of like 15 different nonprofits, and their goal is equity and arts access across the board in California public schools. But not just access to arts, but access to quality arts. And in their definition of that is arts integrated curriculum. So math, science, history taught through dance and music and painting. And it's mind-blowing because it has something for all of the different learning styles. It has something for tactile learners, auditory learners, and visual. And you're moving through all 3, so it reinforces what you're learning all throughout the lesson, and those lessons are just, they're just mind-blowing. There's a video up on the Ssussdriad page. I encourage you to check it out. I believe it is titled, What is Arts Integrated Curriculum, I think, or What is Arts Integrated Education? I don't remember the title, but you can also go to createkings.net and see the video about that in greater detail, and I encourage you to do so. So the arts integrated education portion of my project is basically to get people excited about arts integrated curriculum. I already have the Kings County Superintendent of Schools. He is on board to the point, at least, where he is open to these ideas, and he is willing to spread the word and willing to listen, which is fantastic. And when we met briefly to talk about these things prior to the Youth Art Hop in April, one of the first things that he brought up was, and his name is Todd Barlow, by the way, Superintendent Todd Barlow. One of the first things he brought up when we met was whole person education, which is what arts integrated curriculum is all about. Like we said about dance, these kids are learning to not only understand and express their own emotions, but understand and empathize with their classmates' emotions, which is just such a huge step in understanding the world around us and our place in it. One of the biggest issues that we have with the society that we live in today is that we're so closed off. We don't, not only do we not know how to process our own experiences and our own emotions, we don't know how to convey them, and frankly, we have a lot of trouble empathizing with the people around us. At least that's what I see when I look at Facebook. So this will be a very good thing, because arts education in California took a steep decline starting in 1973 with the Ryan Act, which removed arts requirements from teachers. And then from that point on, it was a game of snakes and ladders with funding. So the arts would get funding, and then the funding would be taken away, and then it would get funding, and then it would be taken away. So it's just been this up and down since 1973, and it's been chaos. Fortunately, Create California was initiated in part by the California State Superintendent of Public Schools, Tom Torlakson, back in 2011, and their Blueprint for Creative Schools and their program has state approval. And so it is totally cool for school districts to adopt the Create California model and move towards arts integrated curriculum. And the results from this education style are just profound. I mean, it's incredible. And the thing that really stuck with me was that these kids, this fourth grade class that was, I mean, they started out reading an excerpt from a high school level text. They were picking out emotion words from that text, defining them and discussing them. What is fear? What is anger? What is embarrassment? And then paintings were projected on the wall. And as a group, they were asked to identify emotional characteristics. So the furrowed brow could be anger, embarrassment, or fear. And of course, this is subjective, but they were talking about what they could be. And then that was a review. So they broke out into their smaller groups of like 3 or 4. They acted out lines that they had already written to reflect the emotions that were in that text. They acted out their own lines, and then they acted them out in front of a green screen in front of the rest of the class with a kid on the camera, a kid on the lights, a kid yelling action. And then they went in as a group and they edited in the background to reflect the emotions that were in the text and that they were trying to convey in their lines that they'd written and acted out. And I mean, that is emotional intelligence in action. That was a 4th grade classroom, and these kids, I mean, I would love to hear a like child psychologist's perspective on like that sort of lesson, because there's just so many layers and so much going on there. It's incredible. But moving on, and then the other part of the project is regenerative agriculture. So we live here in the Central Valley, which is the agricultural capital of the world, right? The United States is the leading agricultural exporter on the planet, and the Central Valley, California, is the leading agricultural exporter within the United States, which makes the Central Valley, California, the ag capital of the world, which makes sense because we have the World Ag Expo right there in Tulare every year. The problem with our agricultural system, and see, our food systems worldwide have changed more in the last 75 years than they have in the last 10,000 with the invention of modern agriculture. So what we call conventional agriculture is not all that conventional, actually. Only in the last 75 years have we been using pesticides and heavy tillage and synthetic fertilizers and monocultures. Monocultures being one thing planted in a field, and like that's it. So acres and acres and acres of one plant, which does not facilitate ecosystems. You'd never see one plant out in nature, even in grasslands where you see nothing but like spans of grass for as far as the eye can see. There is so much variety out there, so much biodiversity. There's a ton of different varieties of grass growing right next to each other. And when there's biodiversity, it facilitates an ecosystem. So an ecosystem is a bunch of things living together, and it creates a food web. It's the web of life. The web of life which can resist, it's resilient to cataclysms like drought or hurricane or flooding or whatever. All of these threads in the web of life are able to stay strong, right? Some may break, but it stays strong. Now, when you have things like monocultures and you're using synthetic fertilizers and synthetic pesticides, you are not facilitating these ecosystems. In fact, you are making it more and more difficult for all of this web of life to survive. There's much fewer threads, and it just can't survive the sort of cataclysm. But anyway, so like, the rhizosphere is the environment immediately surrounding a plant's roots, right? And it is the most biodiverse bioregion on the planet. A double handful of healthy soil has more microbial life in it than there are people on the planet. Anyway, what I would like to see in the Central Valley and, of course, in the rest of the world is a move towards regenerative agriculture, agricultural practices that mimic the patterns of nature. We need to recognize that Mother Earth has been growing things successfully, has been sustaining life on this planet for, 4.6 billion years? And that's 4.5000 whatever billion years longer than we have. I mean, we've been here a blink of an eye, and we destroy everything around us. Whereas Mother Earth has been doing things in perfect balance for billions of years, and she has a lot to teach if we just pay attention. So I think that by and being the agricultural capital of the world, if we make the transition to regenerative agricultural practices here in the Central Valley, there's no better place in the world for that to happen, because the world looks to us when it comes to agriculture. So if we make that shift, that transition here, and we move towards regenerative practices, we can change the food systems all around the world. So that is the Ssussdriad project in a nutshell. I mean, that's the quick version. Like I said, I've been dreaming this thing up for 10 years or more. I have like 30 years of plans for it. Anyway, yeah, so bookstore, brewery, restaurant, concert hall, and the idea there is that you can just by the nature of the business will be that just by coming out and having a beer and buying a book and sitting and listening to a concert or having a meal, just by doing those things, you are helping to create a better world, because the money that goes into that this business earns will be going right back into the business and into the various projects. And then if you decide that you would like to get more involved with any of these various projects, which this is just the first 3, there will be more in the future. If you'd like to get involved with these things, then there are, of course, there's always resources there available for anybody that would like to get more active, be it in downtown revitalization, in arts and alternative education, in our public school system here in Kings County, or regenerative agriculture here in the Valley. So I'm stoked about this project. I have to admit that I have been slacking for the past few months. And it's taken a lot of consideration, a lot of thought to determine why that is. One of the biggest is I had a dream a long time ago that, and it was it was the same project, but it was it looked entirely different. It had a different name. Back then it was Paladins on Earth, because the Ssussdriad project is the culmination of like the past 10 years of like tried and failed save the world projects. And then this is like the best of those that just came together and turned into its own thing that I never could have imagined. Which is great, because I am more happy with the direction of this project than any of the others. This is just, I'm excited. Obviously, I'm excited, or else I wouldn't be doing it anyway. But this dream that I had years ago kind of implied that that the project as it was, the world wasn't ready for it, and that it would do more harm than good. And so I naturally have struggled with that for the past probably 8 years or so, if not longer. And then aside from that, I think I've also been dealing with a little bit of fear in regards to like my life historically. I'm a very impulsive, spontaneous person. And I do enjoy that freedom. I enjoy being able to, at the drop of a hat, I just get a wild hair and decide to go camping for a few days, or go to the coast and surf for a week and sleep in my car. Whereas this project, once it really hits the ground running, I feel, and I admit that I feel like this thread is going to pull me through the rest of my life, and that the level of freedom that I enjoy now will have to be sacrificed, which I'm cool with. I think there's just a little bit of resistance still there. So I'm working on some personal stuff, but I am moving forward, as I do every day. And I hope that you grow excited about this project too. It is my passion. It is what this How's Hanford show is about. It's about transparency. It's about what is happening in this community, talking about the important things. Granted, I have quite a lot to learn, but we're working on it. And I mean, on the plus side, I mean, so far already I can say that the voices, I'm almost certain they were not super high pitched, they were not super low, and I'm thinking that we had sound most of the episode. So that's good. I mean, because the first 3 episodes were just chaos. Anyway, Art Hop tonight, 6 to 8 p.m. Hope to see you. Follow the page if you haven't already. It's Ssussdriad. You can also join the How's Hanford Facebook group, which is the Facebook group for this show. There is also a Hop Hanford Facebook group for the Art Hop. There is a Create Kings. These are all hashtags, so if you search the hashtag, you should be able to find them. There's a Create Kings group, which is all about arts integrated curriculum here in Kings County. And I will be planning a series of smaller, more focused events about arts integrated education here pretty soon, and I'll be announcing those soon. Where basically we'll start out simple. We'll be talking like about what is arts integrated education. We'll be talking about who is Create California. What are these people doing? Why should we care? We'll have an event that is focused entirely on arts career pathways. So like one of I mentioned before that Create California is made up of like 15 different arts education nonprofits. One of those is the California State Parent Teachers Association, and they last year released a Parent's Guide to VAPA standards, which are visual and performing arts standards. Here's a fun fact for you, or not so fun fact. California is considered the creativity capital of the world. I mean, so Central Valley is the agricultural capital. California as a whole is the creative capital of the world. Our creative industry here in California generates more money and puts it into our economy than anywhere else in the world. So California's economy is right around $2 trillion, right? The creative industry every year contributes a full quarter of that, which is $500 billion. Now, if I were to ask you what percentage of that comes from the Central Valley, well, I'll tell you that there's 99 numbers where you'd be wrong. We only contribute 1% of the creative industry in California here in the Central Valley. 1% out of $500 billion. So definitely something to work on. Yeah, where was I going with that? Yeah, so join the Create Kings Facebook group, and there is also a Kings County Soil Facebook group, which is about regenerative agriculture here in Kings County. And it's not super active yet. I don't have any active projects in regenerative agriculture aside from supporting and exploring local regenerative farms. I do have some footage that I need to put together of Combs Farm, which is a permaculture goat and chicken farm. And I need to get that video cut together, but it's a beautiful place. I was fortunate to visit and get shown around. There is a berry farm, a regenerative berry farm out on 12th and Excelsior, where I managed that farm last year. But and berries are in bloom right now, so get out there to Rancho Not So Grande. It's a wonderful place. And the boysenberries are still hot right now, and you got to get them because this heat is gonna knock those suckers out, and you want to get them while you can because they're so good. They're so good, so good. Anyway, Rancho Not So Grande, 12th and Excelsior. I strongly encourage you to get out there. It's like $7.50 a pound for you pick berries. Get out there early in the morning. They open up at 7 a.m. Tuesday through Saturday. You can go out and pick berries. There's no pesticides, and it's all a liquid organic compost fertilizer. So everything is safe to eat right off the vine. And yeah, and that's one of those places where you get out there and you see all of the different varieties of berries. I mean, there's 4 different varieties of blackberries. There's boysenberries, raspberries, 3 different varieties of blueberries. That, by the way, is the biodiversity that I was talking about. It's not all one thing. It's a bunch of different varieties of plants that facilitate ecosystems. When you've got variety, you have ecosystems and you have life in the soil. So you'll when you're out there, you'll see roly-polies. You'll see I don't know if you'll find a worm because it's pretty hot out, but you'll see crickets. You'll see lizards. You see life, and that's what we need to see when we walk through a field or farm. Anyway, so I'm going to cut out. Yeah, I think I'm going to go try to find a haircut because, this mop. I got my first hair mask the other day. That was exciting. And I thought, I think we were both hopeful that it would kind of give some soul to this dry mop. No such luck. It was pretty soft for a while, though, so that was cool. Yeah, so Peace out. Thanks for tuning in. I love you. You are... If you've forgotten, I know it's easy to forget, but this human existence that you share with, what's our population? Almost 7 billion others right now. This human experience that you are moving through is... You're quite lucky to be here. And I know that things can be difficult. Like we said before, it's 2019. We are completely saturated by chaos and information and news, and most of it isn't good. It feels like we're walking through tragedy sometime all around us. And you get health news from family. Somebody has, stage 4 cirrhosis of the liver. You find out that somebody's kidneys are failing. You find out that a good friend got in a car accident. It's difficult. It's hard. Life is not easy. And then we cope in different ways. We struggle. And sometimes it's hard to get up in the morning and move through your life. You lay there and you think that it would be easier just to sleep for another few hours. But get up, exercise, eat a little bit better, eat some organic, locally sourced stuff. We have some great now. With the new Main Street that we have, new and improved Main Street, our Thursday Marketplace features several locally sourced organic vegetable vendors. Get some of that stuff. If you did not know, the average morsel of food in our conventional agricultural food systems, the average morsel of food travels 1,800 miles before it reaches your plate. So find something local, organic, regenerative. Go pick it yourself if you can. It's a pretty cool experience. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Life is tough, and there's no real getting around that. But if you can just remember sometimes, just take a moment and breathe. Just breathe in and hold it and breathe out and just experience the sensations, experience the feeling of the breath entering and exiting. And just remember that whatever you're going through is a unique experience. And because we have the ability to think and to understand and to look in the mirror and recognize that that's me, we have the ability to reach out and touch and pick things up. We translate thoughts into action. That is pure magic. I mean, it is pure magic. It's special. And yeah, so when things are tough, just take a minute and remember that your existence is profound, and you wouldn't be here if you weren't supposed to be. So thank you. I love you. Have a great week. I will see you next Tuesday once again on the House Hanford Show right here from DJ's Collectible Shop in downtown Hanford.